It's This Is Going Well, I think, a special Monday late night edition. Late because I cooked lamb spaghetti for dinner. Now that my friends are gone, I'm doing the show. Now you know. It's This Is Going Well, I think, the show where no one's listening, no one cares, the show where every episode's the last episode, and I am your host, David Cooper. We've got a great lineup for you tonight. In about 10 minutes' time, space, including a hole on Mars that was recently imaged, and scientists have no idea what's inside it. But I'll talk to one scientist, that is a physicist and astronomer, who's got a pretty good idea of what could be done with this hole if people ever make it to the surface of Mars. Then, I like a schwitz. Do you like a schwitz? There is a study that says hyperthermia, that's too hot, not cold, hyperthermia, shows promising antidepressant effects through anti-inflammatory pathways. We will talk to one researcher who did that study and find out if taking a sauna might make you a little happier. Then it's my friend Toronto-based comedian Natalie Norman to explain why she didn't wear a bra today. Oh, and also she's taping a stand-up comedy special, so we'll find out more about that. Then it's Tony 5 to play a new game on the show. Tony's our foreign correspondent out of London, England, and he's going to play with me How Do You Like Your Fruits and Veg? A fantastic game, and you can play along with us at home. This is going to be such a great show tonight, but first, this. I thought we'd try something a little different. It's breaking news, or maybe breaking snooze, with foreign correspondent Tony 5. We're going to go over the stories of the day to keep everybody informed with what they need to know. Tony, welcome to the show.
David, welcome to me. Welcome to the listeners. Welcome to America.
Welcome to America. It starts with an A.
No, America.
America starts with an M-E-R.
Land of the free and killing black people.
There are police officers that have done this. That is not...
Land of the free and black people killed by police officers.
Occasionally. I mean, it's not every day, but it happens more than it should. I'll give you that.
America, land of the free, and sometimes killing black people with police officers.
Do you feel the racism when you're here, or because you're British, you're just operating on another level?
Different level, brother.
You just don't notice, like you don't clock it?
Want to shoot black people when I'm there.
You want to shoot them. I just mean British racism is more like just classism.
Refined.
It's refined.
It's refined.
It's classist.
It's beautiful. It's as somebody said once, it's top tier racism.
Well, I just mean it's like they won't let you into their country club. You know, it's like
yeah.
It's much more they're treating you like the lower class because
Correct.
you're a race, but they're not treating you differently than the lower class.
Like, for example, I will wait for other people to go to toilet in another block and then go afterwards. It's very inherent. You know, you can be racist to yourself because of the company you keep.
So, wait, British people who aren't black will not use toilets that black people have used?
That's correct, David.
Interesting. America is much more in your face. You know, it's much more like, you know, overt.
It's overt.
Yeah.
You know, like the stringing up and, you know, don't go to church on Sunday. Whereas in the UK, you just can't be like high up. I guess there's no like bosses or you know, there's very subversive racism. It's wonderful.
Are there
really
many lords of color? I know there's like elected officials of color, but I mean like peerage. Correct. Where it gets passed down by the family.
There's not many, and the beauty of it is when there is, they're announced as the first black lord or the second black lord. So it's so obviously rare that they have to announce the single digit number of which they are.
Well, even if Meghan Markle and Harry have a baby.
Yeah.
It may be a prince, but it won't be the first black prince because that was Prince.
Correct. And he was the royalty formerly known as Prince, wasn't he?
True. All right, we were going to do the news. Let's do the news. Let's dive into a new trend. It's not coffee. It's not tea.
Is it coffee?
No.
Toffee?
No.
Is it toffee? Is that where it comes from? Toffee?
No, it's not coffee. It's not toffee. It's not coffee. It's mushroom coffee, which is a blend of ground coffee and shiitake mushrooms that are dried, I think. I don't know. What do you think? People are drinking this. They think it saves their lives. They think it has health benefits. They think it's got antioxidants. They think it's got oxidants. Would you drink mushroom coffee?
I'm obviously, David, as you know, as a British drinker, I am a massive tea drinker. I don't like coffee. The fact of having a mushroom tea makes me want to vomit just hearing about it.
Great. All right, let's go to our next story. This is a sensationalist piece that my producer Danny sent me. We all know about polyamory, but in a certain media outlet, which will remain unnamed, there is an expose on polyamory, which isn't polyamory.
Is that to do with that tea again?
No, it's not. It's not sexual attraction to mushroom tea.
Okay.
It is when a loved one turns a blind eye to their loved one's affairs.
Oh.
Polyamory. So like your husband, you've had an affair, your wife or husband turns a blind eye and just stays with you.
Now, surely that's cuckold.
No. That's...
got you there.
That's not a relationship orientation. I think that's a fetish, cuckold.
No, cuckold is where you let your partner do anything and you kind of, with another person, and you kind of enjoy it. I mean, maybe the amory part is probably the fact that you know it but don't say anything.
Yeah, I think cuckold is when you know it, and I think polyamory is when you turn a blind eye.
Because I've seen a cuckold relationship. I've been the third wheel in one.
Oh, do say more.
So, more.
Yeah.
What?
I hate you.
I'm so quick tonight. See, the bald head is working overdrive. So yeah, I many years ago, somebody invited me into their cuckoldedness, a cuckoldee, as it were.
So was it three of you doing the sex, or you would do the sex with the wife and the husband would just know about it?
No, there'd be me playing hide the sausage, and the cuckold husband would just come in and out, and actually, weirdly, would make a cup of tea for us.
So he'd just be in the kitchen while you were sleeping with his wife?
Yeah.
And
he'd make tea. I think he gave me some biscuits once, which was quite nice. Really nice biscuits. They were like chocolate digestives with a little bit of sandwich cream in the middle. Like an English Oreo. It was really nice.
So that's not polyamory, because polyamory is turning a blind eye.
That was fun. I don't know what it was, but it was good fun.
It sounds fun, and it sounds like you get great biscuits free of charge. Or maybe they did charge. I don't know. Maybe you charged.
No.
Not clear. But polyamory is when that were to be going on and the husband would know about it, but they don't speak about it and he just sort of tolerates it.
Oh, right. No. This one was spoken about. He invited me. He gave me the number, actually.
Great. Next story. Let me mark this. Kanado Hospital, which is in...
That's a made-up hospital name.
Yeah, I think it's in maybe Japan. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Carry on.
All right. In Japan, researchers are about to put in clinical trials a new drug that at least works on animals, and they think will work on people, that regrows your teeth. What do you think?
Who doesn't want bigger teeth, David?
I want extra teeth. I want like 70 teeth. I want teeth coming out every which way, out of my gums, out of my tongue, out of the roof of my mouth. I want 1,000 teeth, Tony.
Do you not think, right, if you think about it badly, and dear listener, please listen to this as I say this, teeth in the mouth is fine, but teeth anywhere else in the body is weird, right?
Yeah, there's
so
there's people who are like conjoined twins, but they're twin dyes, and there's just like a couple teeth in the side of their body.
Oh, that gives me the ick.
Like the fetus swallows the other fetus or absorbs it in the womb, and there's just like teeth. There's a mouth in the side of your chest or something. Gross. Yeah,
there's a tumor with a tooth in it. It's nasty. And have you seen them fish with like human teeth?
No, fish.
Google
with human
teeth on fish.
Are you sure?
Human teeth on fish.
Are you sure this isn't just an AI? Oh my God!
No, it's genuine. They're in the ocean
head
somewhere.
Fish.
There you go.
Why?
Exactly right. How? And there's the one called, I think, a goblin fish, where it's got like a proper like smile. It's like 8 out of 10 dentists recommend this fish.
So you are going to take this drug even if you don't lose teeth, so you can grow extras, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, definitely. It'd be good, right? Because if they fell out, like at the moment, again, David, I'm suffering at the moment, living with a toothache.
Now,
one of the earlier Bon Jovi songs. Carry on.
Yeah, what? The clinical trial is set to be on adults in like a few months, but then a few months later, they're going to do it with children. But don't they have their baby teeth? Like, aren't they going to grow teeth anyway?
Oh, children are horrible anyway, but having extra teeth in them is horrifying. Can you imagine a little kid, like a little horror child, with like loads of extra teeth in his mouth? Oh, God.
How does it know to regrow the teeth? Like, if I have a partially broken teeth, is it going to regrow that? Like if I have healthy teeth, is it just going to skip those teeth or is it going to grow new ones and push them out? That I want to know.
I would say push them out.
Ugh. This is
And
horrifying.
like your teeth would fall out. Isn't there a thing that if you dream about your teeth falling out, you're about to die? Or go to the dentist?
I have that all the time. That's just a regular stress dream.
Is it a stress dream?
It is. All right, we're here with Tony 5. He's going to be back later in the show. That was the day's news, or at least our attempt of doing it. In a few moments' time, we will have an astronomer and physicist to talk about a new hole discovered on Mars. And quite frankly, the photos are stunning. So you have to look forward to that. Space, the final frontier. That is how someone who didn't do his homework to come up with a good introduction for a radio segment would introduce someone who's an astronomer. We are going to talk about a hole on the surface of Mars that is puzzling scientists. I'm here with Dr. Elaina Hyde, who's the director at the Alan I. Carswell Observatory and professor of physics and astronomy at York University in Canada. Elaina, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. And I do always love when Mars has interesting things happening.
I know the face on Mars turned out to be a camera angle shadow thing, wasn't really a face. It was supposed to be evidence of this alien civilization. At least that's what the media said. I don't think any astronomers said that.
Not that I know of, no.
But this hole is puzzling scientists. Do you want to tell me about the hole, how it was discovered, and what it looks like?
Yeah, so Mars, as the closest planet that we could, in theory, put our feet on safely, or semi-safely, other than Earth, it's really captured people's imagination for ages. But the last, I would say 10, 20 years, we've really been talking about how harsh of a surface Mars is. It doesn't have a magnetic field to protect it, or not much of one. It doesn't have much of an atmosphere, so you wouldn't be able to breathe there. The soil is very irradiated, so growing things on Mars is a bit of a challenge. And we've heard a lot of things about how dangerous Mars is. Now, on its surface, you see a lot of really interesting rocks and soil, as you would expect from kind of a dried out, largely, shall I say, dead world, but it's not really dead. Underground, we think that Mars has a lot of potentially interesting stuff going on, but we don't have any way to get underground. And one of the things that humans have really been wondering for at least 20 years, probably more, is exactly how would human visitors to Mars be able to really exist there, given its incredibly harsh situation? So if you're going to shelter from radiation, you're going to have protection from the planet-wide dust storms. You do need quite a bit of construction in order to build something that can withstand that. And subterranean human habitation on Mars is one of the ways where you can get protection. Now, what's better than having to build your own subterranean, base? What if there's something on Mars' surface right now that we could use that would suit our purposes? So this hole, as you say, or cavern, it's some sort of opening into Mars's underground. And there's a debate on whether or not it could be a dried out lava tube, some sort of collapsed section of Mars's surface. So we have a little bit of a fun debate at the moment about what the water under Mars's surface is doing. And we can see water sublimating out in little geysers off the edge of some craters. And the high resolution imaging science experiment, or high-res camera, on NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has been doing an amazing job mapping out surface features, finding evidence of active water from the subsurface coming to the surface. And so if there is a chance that there are regions underground that might even have water, might have shelter from the irradiation, that actually might make subterranean areas of Mars, dare I say, habitable. So this is a really interesting discovery. And although the pit is only a few meters across, if it's a sign of larger structures or more extensive structures of this kind on Mars, then it would be really good to know that before we go and send humans there.
Any idea how this thing was formed? I'm looking at it. It's kind of like a dramatic, like, cylinder almost. Like it seems like this perfect circle, this perfect cylinder. I'm sure maybe it isn't. I'm just judging based on what I see in these photographs. But any idea what's in it or how it was formed?
Yeah, so when I looked at it for the first time, I just thought sinkhole, but the lava tubes, and we see these, for example, in North America, where we have large volcanoes. Over on the west coast, famously, you had Mount St. Helens erupt. You get lava tubes happening when you have geological activity. Now, those lava tubes sort of form these structures underground as the lava rushes through and then dries up and kind of expands. Mars has not had volcanic activity in quite a while, but it used to. It used to be volcanically active, and it actually has some of the largest volcanoes in the entire solar system along a ridge called the Tharsis area. So you have Arisia Mons and sort of the whole Tharsis Ridge. And this particular pit is only a few meters across, and it's actually near one of the larger volcanoes on Mars's surface, or I should say, one of the inactive ones. So the idea is that perhaps in the distant past, a lot of volcanic activity could have caused a lot of volcanic tubes. And when those tubes collapse, you would get pits and holes like this. So if they found one, there's a chance they might have more. And of course, finding more of them would be a little bit of extra proof.
So how much of the surface has been mapped in the level of detail where we see this crater? Lots of it or not that much of it? And if it's not that much of it, are we hoping to find other craters like this to maybe build future structures in so we don't have to put a lot of labor in either drilling or building something that's weatherproof or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. So as I mentioned, the being able to find something only a few meters across, you need extremely high resolution. And as far as I remember, the high-res camera is still the best. So it can actually see the rovers on the surface in the pictures. So that's the resolution you need. And at this point, mapping the entire surface and dealing with all of that data is an ongoing problem. So I think it's pretty safe to say they are definitely hoping to find more of these. And if they are lava tubes, then looking near to volcanoes is absolutely the way to go.
Here's a question maybe not so related to the story. How stable is the surface of Mars? Are there Earth, dare I say, Mars quakes that we have to worry about that could shift these structures? Or is it a fairly stable, desolate surface?
There have been some studies, and actually they did one with a microphone not too long ago on Mars quakes. Nothing drastic, not like we have here on Earth. So on Earth, we have plate tectonics. We have large active volcanoes. We have, huge bunches of, material being pushed into lava in the underground, and you have things moving around a lot. On Mars, that's really not the case, but there is still some residual activity. What's happened is, of course, Mars is, much less massive. There's a lot less of Mars than there is of Earth. And so as it gradually started cooling off, its crust became so thick that it really couldn't move around anymore. So there might be a little bit of activity, but nothing to worry about in terms of active volcanoes. And if they are, of course, looking for structures on Mars, we would hope it would be reasonably stable. But we have seen things like, of course, the planet-wide dust storms and recovering surfaces and surfaces collapsing. So you've seen things like crater walls collapsing and stuff like that. So you would still have to worry about sinkholes and perhaps Martian forms of landslides, depending on where exactly you were. So, but earthquakes are not a big concern on Mars, no.
I remember watching the movie The Martian and having a Mars storm, like a dust rock storm, come in and kind of damage the base. And I don't quite remember what happened. Is that all fiction, or do those kinds of storms where rocks get kicked up and if you're standing there, it's basically a hailstorm of rocks? Does that happen on the surface?
Yeah, so Mars actually has some very, very fierce planet-wide dust storms. And this is a real concern for any humans who would like to live there. Because when its surface is covered with these dust storms, some of them are extremely high speed. And they can, basically cover the entire planet in a dusty haze.
Wow.
And, potentially pick up, larger particles of dust. If you had things like the recent helicopter they had on Mars flying around, Ingenuity, that would not be able to run in a dust storm. Your communication would probably be not very good during a dust storm. But the global dust storms on Mars do happen, periodically. And some of them can be quite quick and go from zero to covering the planet in just a few days.
Wow. Is that pose a potential damage to the various probes, rovers, helicopters we have on Mars? Have we ever lost anything on the surface from one of these awful storms?
Yeah, the rovers in particular, a lot of them are solar powered. And what happens is there gets to be so much dust on top of the solar panels that they can't actually get enough energy to keep powering themselves anymore. And there are several rovers that have stopped working for that reason.
We got to get windshield wipers for those solar panels.
Yeah, you might need to think about some alternate sources of power if you were going to have a human base on the surface.
All right, I'm here with Dr. Elaina Hyde talking all things space. We're discussing the hole on the surface of Mars. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the parade of planets. Sounds very fun. We are back talking space with Dr. Elaina Hyde, who's the director at the Alan I. Carswell Observatory and professor of physics and astronomy at York University in Canada. Elaina, welcome back. I'm excited to talk more space with you.
Yeah, absolutely. There is just so many cool things going on up there right now.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Like, it's bigger than my apartment, outer space, by the factor of at least 2.
Immense, yes.
All right, so last night was something called the Parade of the Planets. Sounds fun. I don't think there were any floats, but I suppose there were planets floating out there in space. Depends how you define floating. What is the Parade of Planets, and what were people able to see last night?
So this is actually a fun one because every once in a while, pretty much every year, you get some kind of planetary alignment that shows up in the sky. And it's always fun to go out and see these because the planets are on average pretty bright. And you have things like Jupiter and Venus that are visible even in cities. And that's a problem, of course, because, cities with their light pollution, you don't really get to see a lot else. A lot of the constellations are washed out. If you get aurora, that can be a problem. But when you have planets out, they're bright enough. Sometimes people even think that they're planes coming in. Wow. And that's Jupiter and Venus. And so when we have planetary alignments, that means several bright things out there in the sky that people can try to see. And of course, on the morning of June 3rd, we had a 6-planet alignment. And this is something that happens because it's a bit of a coincidence, really. It's basically looking out in the sky towards the solar system. You can imagine the planets going around the sun in their circular orbits. The inner ones are going faster than the outer ones. So just every once in a while, from our position, sort of looking out the window, some of those planets appear in the same place. And on the morning of June 3rd, before sunrise, so this made it a very hard thing to see because you actually had to get up before the sun in June. But if it, there was 6 of the planets in the solar system aligned with each other just before sunrise. And the event was advertised as Jupiter, Mercury, Uranus, Mars, Neptune, and Saturn in a line with the crescent moon. However, a lot of those planets are actually, pretty dim. So things like Neptune, Uranus, Mercury, those are hard to spot. The brighter things like Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, that's a little bit easier. So, you might have, if you were up early in the morning, you might have seen some of these bright sort of things shining in a line, but the chances are with your naked eye, you won't have seen all 6 of them.
No.
So Jupiter and Mercury were about 0.1 degrees apart in the sky, which means if you hold your arm out all the way stretched out and stretch out your pinky finger, and you look at the end of your pinky finger, that will be enough to cover Jupiter and Mercury together on that morning. So they were quite close. But of course, Uranus and Neptune, those are outer solar system objects. They're not going to be visible to the naked eye unless something really extreme happens. And Jupiter and Mercury were very close to the sun. So as the sun was rising, they would have been low on the horizon. So that makes it also hard to spot. If it's very low on the horizon and very near to sun, in this case, they were rising about half an hour before the sun itself. So they only made it a little bit off the sky before the sun comes up and then, wrecks the party for everyone. But if you are able to try to spot them, it's actually still pretty good to look today because the alignments don't change a huge amount night to night. So this week, if you are one of those folks who likes to wake up super, super early, you've got a beautiful, bright Mars, Saturn, and Moon, and it will be a tricky treasure hunt for anyone who wants to find the other four.
Pretty cool. I am in downtown Manhattan in New York, so with the light pollution, I don't get to see it. But the other day, I think it was May 28th, there was something here called Manhattanhenge, which is when the sun lines perfectly, I think, with 23rd Street, and you can just see the sunset in a perfect line down, sort of like a parade of the sun in Manhattan. And while we don't get to see the planets because of the light pollution, we do have cockroaches and rats, so that is a plus.
I'm not sure about a plus, but maybe we can work on a rat constellation from somewhere.
There's got to be one.
I was just going to say, if it was the 28th, you also had a fuller moon, so there would have been a chance of seeing that out.
Pretty cool. Well, we've got the Parade of the Planets for Pride Month. If that's not fun, I don't know what is. I want to talk about something else now. Boeing. When I think of the company Boeing, I don't think about space. I think of corporate greed, slashing budgets, all that leading to unsafe planes with things like doors that blow off in flight. But it turns out Boeing's incompetence may extend from aircraft to spacecraft, with their new Starliner project having leaks. Do you want to tell me about that?
Yeah, so the Boeing Starliner is an interesting idea in theory, ignoring for a minute the fact that it is Boeing. But it's an idea that they wanted to put out there because the more reusable components you have for space travel, the more the price goes down and the less expensive individual missions are. And we've seen this with a lot of recent space endeavors, commercial especially. And of course, the SpaceX reusable rockets made a big impact. But the Starliner is going to be a reusable spacecraft, presumably reusable spacecraft. And it's going to be designed to help transport crew up and to the International Space Station and, maybe other destinations as well, if anyone ever builds that space hotel that they keep talking about. But it is manufactured by Boeing, and one of the things that's happened is this was a spacecraft that was sort of farmed out, if you will. So it's an individual capsule, and they're going to have the capsule itself made by Boeing, and then it's going to use the NASA docking system that they already have, which is where the sort of other spacecrafts and things are already using things from. So you've got an external Boeing capsule coupled with the NASA system, and they're hoping that it will be similar in design to the one used by the SpaceX Dragon 2. And of course, the SpaceX Dragon 2 has been tested, and I believe there was one, I forget exactly the name, that had recently dropped some debris on Canada.
Yeah, Saskatchewan. I mean, it's flying from the International Space Station. It broke through a guy's roof in Florida, and then some debris landed in a farm in Saskatchewan. What's going on? It's space garbage flying everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a problem that's been on people's radar for decades because the amount of stuff in low Earth orbit really constitutes a collision hazard. And when you have things colliding, at some point, the amount of material becomes so great that larger crafts and objects can't avoid it, or you have too many things that have no ability to steer themselves. And so you just end up with a giant mess of material. And the danger is, if it goes to a certain limit, nothing's going to be able to get into low Earth orbit without hitting this material. And so, we have a serious problem with our low Earth orbit at the moment. And a reusable spacecraft is really only a good idea if it's going to be able to get up there and come back without getting damaged by space debris, for example.
Are there efforts to map this space debris, or is it too small to do so?
There are some folks trying to map it, and there are some actually pretty cool proposals about using lasers to push the material that's up there into the atmosphere so that it burns up.
They're going to zap it with lasers? I love this.
Yeah. So it's kind of, there's some cool proposals that have been floated to clean up some of the debris that's out there. Of course, the problem is that in the meantime, we're seeing more and more of it hit the ground. And, while it is incredibly unlikely for any of it to hit any individual person, the more we have of it, the bigger the hazard gets. So it is something to keep in mind for sure. And this particular spacecraft being created by Boeing after rather inauspicious, shall I say, year for them. It doesn't make very many of us hopeful for the project.
No, it doesn't. So tell me what's coming up in June that we can be excited about when we look up into the sky.
So this June is a pretty fun month. We have the summer solstice coming up, which of course is the in the northern hemisphere our longest day, and in the southern hemisphere their shortest day. That's going to be June 20th this year. So make sure to set up a little solar viewing for yourself. And of course, starting May 30th, which was just a few days ago, running through June, we actually have the shortest lunar month of 2024. So this is because the moon travels around Earth in not quite a circle, and it basically is going to be racing through its cycle of phases in 29.19 days, which is the fastest time it's going to make it all the way around through its cycles in 2024. So an extra fun thing to watch out for this month.
Cool. Elaina, thanks for doing this interview. I appreciate it.
Absolutely happy to be here, and hope you all have a great time trying to look uppity.
Dr. Elaina Hyde is the director at the Alan I. Carswell Observatory, professor of physics and astronomy at York University. In just a moment, we'll talk to a researcher who did a study that says hyperthermia, that is the opposite of hypothermia, being hot, like taking saunas and stuff, has shown scientifically to have promising antidepressant effects. So if you like a schwitz, you'll love this. We are here to talk about a fascinating new study that says that hyperthermia may have antidepressant effects through anti-inflammatory, ways. I'm excited to talk to someone a little bit more versed in this, someone who worked on a study that proved this stuff. He is a faculty at the Depression Clinical Research Program at Massachusetts General Hospital. Naoise Mac Giollabhui. Naoise, welcome to the show.
Thanks, David. Thanks for having me.
So, you heat people up and then you test whether they're depressed. Like, how do you go about studying this or even figuring that it's something that you might want to investigate?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Long story short, this is kind of a passion project of mine. I think on one hand, heated therapies, it sounds a bit quirky, but heated therapies are, there's a really ancient lineage there. Thousands of years, people have been using heated therapies for physical and mental health. The Greeks, the Egyptians, the Romans. And it's also kind of baked into your body. When you think of your, a fever that you run, that's what your body does when your immune system is really trying to fight an infection. Now, I just came across this by serendipity. Some colleagues of mine in the Depression Clinical Research Program at MGH, and they happened to be studying this. And I had a similar response to you of like, so we're heating people up to make them less depressed. But there was something about it that really helped me. So I started doing this study, started analyzing these data. There's a professor, Chuck Raison. He's based at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He ran this study about 10 years ago, and I went back to analyze some of the data. And would you like me to tell you a little bit about kind of a big picture overview of what happened in this study?
Yeah, tell me that, and then I want to look into what you actually did with these people that you did, the subjects, I guess is what you call them in a research study.
Yeah, that's right on. And yeah, so for this study, we're looking at 26 depressed individuals. They're brought in to the study, and they're randomly assigned to receive whole body hypothermia, or something that looks and sounds a little bit like it, but isn't quite that. It's a sham condition. And when somebody gets whole body hypothermia, what we do is we put them in a box and we heat them up until their internal body temperature hits 101 Fahrenheit. So it's kind of low grade fever.
Yeah.
And then we let them slowly cool down. And then we follow them for the following 6 weeks. We're doing some blood tests to see what's happening with their immune system, kind of both before whole body hypothermia, after it, 1 week and 4 week. And then we're following them over the next 6 weeks with assessments of depression to see how they improve.
Really interesting. I've observed I feel better when I'm taking saunas or steam baths or schwitzes all the time. This is totally anecdotal. But this idea that doing it once a week and it kind of just helping with your mood state, it almost for me had the same effect as exercise, which is something I obviously don't do enough of. But I have major depression. I think it's in remission, although, and I'm medicated for it. But I did find when I was schwitzing every week, which back when I lived in a different city, that's the Yiddish for taking a sauna, in case you're wondering, I was feeling better. So anecdotally, I kind of observed this, but it's interesting that you decide to study this. What was the sham box that you put people in? It just makes them seem like they're getting heated up, but they're not?
Well, this is the tricky thing, because you strike on a really good point, which is, when you were doing schwitzes, you felt much better after it. But is that because you're with people? Is it because you've got a bit of time to relax? Is it because of the heat?
Sure.
We don't really know. But in this randomized control design, we give people the real thing or a sham. So for the sham, what we're doing is, in the real condition, we've got these big infrared heaters, and they're incredibly hot. They got to get you up to 101. And in the sham condition, we basically switch off the really big ones, and we have a couple of small ones going. So people, they've got the noise, they've got the lights, they've got a little bit of heat, and they've got probably just enough to make them think they got the real thing. And actually, when Dr. Raison, when he followed up with them at the time of the study and asked them, how many of you think in the sham condition you got the real thing? It was something like 90% of people in the sham condition thought that they actually got the real treatment.
Interesting. So the study focuses, I was reading, on something called interleukin-6 depression. Tell me more about that and how you investigated that and what the link is to the study.
It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
No, I for sure said it wrong, Nisha. I for sure said it wrong.
So interleukin-6, usually the way I'll think about it is it's basically a small chemical messenger in our body that's involved with activating and deactivating the immune system. And this was what really hooked me into this study, because there's a little bit of a paradox in psychiatry, which is, if a lot of people who've got depression, they've got high levels of interleukin-6. People who've got a lot of kind of autoimmune conditions and other physical conditions, they've got high levels of interleukin-6. But at the same time, when you exercise or when you do whole body hypothermia, your levels of interleukin-6, they shoot through the roof. So it's kind of, on one hand, interleukin-6 sometimes is good for you and sometimes it's bad for you. So I wanted to explore this a little more in this study. And so the way we do it is that we draw blood before we give them whole body hypothermia. We draw blood after we give whole body hypothermia. And then we look at it again at week 1 and week 4. So the first thing that we noticed is that interleukin-6, immediately after whole body hypothermia, it shoots through the roof. But to get back to that paradox, the challenging thing is that why is it good for you and why is it sometimes bad for you? And people who know a lot more about this than I do, immunologists, they're really beginning to kind of discover that, well, there's actually different pathways that interleukin-6 can kind of activate. And some of them are pro-inflammatory, so they kind of lead to a heightened state of immune function. And some of them are anti-inflammatory, and they're dampening down the immune system response. And so what we found in this study was that, now we use an index, we weren't measuring it directly. There's a million and one caveats I'm going to add in there. But what we found was there's really strong evidence is that immediately after whole body hypothermia, we've got this anti-inflammatory signaling pathway. That's what's being activated. And not only that, the stronger it is activated in a given individual, the more of an antidepressant effect that we see at not just immediately afterwards, but week 1, week 2, week 4, and to some degree at week 6.
So it's got anti-inflammatory and inflammatory effects. It seems like you can't put interleukin-6 in a box. It's It's
No.
it's undefinable. Okay, so what are the takeaways from this study that you're excited about, and what's next?
Well, depression's a big clinical challenge that we face at the moment. About 70% of people who experience their first depressive episode, they're not going to respond to treatment. And a lot of the treatments we have out there are they're not as effective as we'd like it to be. They've often got pretty significant side effects. And sometimes they can take, you take your typical antidepressant medication, it can take 6, 8, 10 weeks for it to really have an effect. Whole body hypothermia has got it's safe, it's effective, it's a really strong antidepressant, and it works really quickly. 1 week post intervention, we were really seeing these strong antidepressant effects. And so, I think we want as many different kind of treatments as possible in psychiatry and psychology that we can have at the disposal of our mental health professionals, so we can kind of deploy them and try and optimize human health to the best that we can.
Interesting. I don't need to go into a chamber with an infrared light. I can go to a sauna or a steam, right?
You can. Don't worry about it, though. And I was going to say that that way you avoid how we're measuring core body temperature in these studies.
Interesting. So the research sample size, you had 26 subjects. Is there a plan to expand in the next round of research, or any ways to kind of expand it to a larger group of people?
Yeah, so I mentioned that this is a passion project of mine. So there's some people out there who this is their primary focus. And you've got Ashley Mason at University of California at San Francisco, Chuck Raison, he's at Vail in Colorado, as well as Wisconsin-Madison. And Simi Foster, who's in my department at MGH. All of these folks are kind of pushing studies, they're designing new studies, bigger studies, trying to replicate what we got out there already. So there's a lot of exciting findings that are actually either recently coming out or about to come out in this space, kind of really reinforcing the potential of this treatment.
Naoise Mac Giollabhui is faculty at the Depression Clinical Research Program at Massachusetts General Hospital. Naoise, thank you for going over this with me, and thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, David.
And up next is comedian Natalie Norman to tell us why she didn't wear a bra today and all about her upcoming comedy special, what it was like to film it, and more. We are here with Toronto-based comedian Natalie Norman to discuss bra-free summer. Natalie, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I love talking about bra-free summer. What?
Oh, you said you love talking about it, and then you said nothing, and then now that's our show. Awkward silence. You said so much. You could go on forever on this topic. Full stop.
I thought you were going to ask me a question.
Oh, yeah. That's what interviewers are supposed to do.
Yeah. I don't know why that was on me.
Well, you were telling me you left the home without a bra in downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
And what did the people think? What was the reaction? What's it like out there on the streets?
When you got some big old boobies.
Tig old biddies, I believe, is the...
big old tibbies?
Tig...
Whatever they...
You've never heard that? Tig old biddies?
Yeah, I that really confuses my brain. Anyways, I got a pair of those. And when you don't wear a bra, people get scared because it looks like I'm going to slap someone in the face.
Have you ever given anyone a black eye?
I've come close to it for sure.
Excellent. We've learned a lot today. What about the children, Natalie? What about the children who gawk and stare?
What about the children taking up space in my city?
Exactly.
Go to school.
Go to school.
It's the middle of the day. It's my time to roam the street without a bra. And people don't understand when you have big old ditties, my back constantly hurts. So I've made a promise to myself to not wear one when I don't want to, because I'm sick of it hurting my back. So I honestly only wear one probably for 2 hours a day.
So wait, isn't the bra supposed to prevent the back pain? I thought it was the other way around.
Not for me. Because what it does is it pulls down on my shoulders, and then my shoulders hurt. And then when I go to bed at night, I can't sleep because my shoulders are in so much pain because of the bra during the day, but also because my titties are so big, it puts pressure on my shoulders. And then sometimes when I'm making love and I'm on my back, and we're going too much missionary, the biddies fly into my face and put more pressure on my shoulders.
When mommy and a man who she met on Twitter are in love, this is what they do. So wait, they're like a front backpack, I guess.
Yeah, they're so heavy and they're so annoying and like they're kind of useless.
Have you thought of getting a reduction?
I have, but I had a friend who got a reduction and watching them go through that was awful. It's so painful. It's like months and months. And like, I know the pain in the end would probably be less, but the idea of having to go through that surgery is just a nightmare. It's just a nightmare.
So for your friend, the recovery was rough. I didn't know that.
If anyone who gets anything done to their biddies is rough. I've gone through, I helped my friend get them fully removed.
Yeah. My friend got that. My friend, she's 70 though. She's,
Okay, well, my friend is still a she, but got them fully removed because she never identified with her titties. And I had to go through the whole thing with her, and it was a nightmare. She was crying and screaming every day.
Oh, my friend had a double mastectomy for cancer, but
Yeah.
Originally she got big old boobs put in, and then one of them burst. So she had the double mastectomy, is that what you call it? She had that when she was maybe in her late 40s, early 50s. And that was fine. When I met her, she was maybe 65 and she had big boobs and that was her life. That's fine. Whatever, her choice. I didn't know they were fake until she told me. And then one burst.
That's crazy. That's crazy. The bursting is crazy. I don't even know what you do.
Well,
what
she went to the hospital to get them replaced. And just before the surgery, she had just signed off for dating for life. I think her husband died. And she was dating for about 10 years, from maybe 62 to 72. Finally, she's like, screw this. I love my life. I don't need a man. She's got kids. She's got friends. I mean, she's friends with young people. I met her through doing stand-up. And so just before the surgery, she said to the doctor, instead of putting a new one back in, just take them out. I'm done with boobs.
Exactly. I mean, I'm done with mine. I just don't want to do the surgery. I'm literally done with them. That's not wearing a bra is me being done with them, because I don't care if they're perky. I don't care how they look to you. They're good.
They're good.
They're fine. They're good.
One thing I've learned, no matter what you look like, no matter what your shape, no matter what, whatever it is, there's someone who's into it. So whatever you are, you're good. No matter what. Yeah. Even if everyone thinks you're bad, you're really good to somebody. And I'm not saying you're bad, but somebody thinks you're amazing.
A lot of men think these biddies are great.
I'm sure. I mean, what's not to like? I'm not hitting on you, but what's not to like?
What's not to like? Their girth. They're girthy.
We spent 5 minutes talking about boobs.
I can talk more about them.
What else is there to say? Are you going to have kids? What kids really do a number on those things, right?
Well, kids do a number on them, and then breastfeeding is like it can be painful, but I have dusty eggs at this point. I have some saved. I don't think they'll be used. Those losers are living in Yorkville. They live a better life than me.
What's the monthly carrying cost to keep eggs on ice?
It's yearly. It's $500.
$500 a year. Okay. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not millions. And what if there's a power outage? Do they have backup power?
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. Because so many people, there's so many people who have gone through the procedure and they for sure have their own generators.
Okay. So those are good, even if there's month-long brownouts, you're fine.
I think so. If there's a month-long brownout, I mean, that means the world's over.
I don't know about that, but fair enough.
No, if a city is out for a month, I'm pretty sure the world is over. If we can't figure out how to get power back in a month.
What are you talking about? There's all kinds of cities around the world that don't have power for a month, or that have rolling brownouts forever.
No, they don't.
Absolutely they do.
Name one.
I don't know. There's all kinds of cities around the world. It might not be in the West, but there's I've heard of cities in South America.
Well, I think in the West, I think that's okay, something's happened. Society in the West is over, which is fine.
Yeah, let it collapse.
Let it go. I don't need these eggs. It's fine.
Let's go. Rolling brownouts, they're a thing. They're a real thing. They happen in Africa. They happen in South America.
But they're rolling, but they don't last a full month. I don't think.
And then you can always put more gas in the generator. We've learned so much today.
We've learned so much, and I just want to say this: men always want to put their member between my biddies.
Wow, you're really keeping it safe for the children. I mean, that's a common sexual act, no?
Yeah, and the last guy I performed that with made me do the up and down motion.
Oh, that's annoying.
Do you know how annoying? It's like, he was like, hold them together and you go up and down. And I was like, so what are you doing?
He's sending emails, sending faxes. He's a busy guy.
It's like, at this point, who is this even for?
You tell me. I wasn't there. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's ungentlemanly if you ask me.
I agree. If you're going to do that, you got to do at least some of the work.
You got to do most of it, okay? I'm already bringing the prop.
You're bringing the prop. You're bringing everything to the table. He's bringing nothing to the table. At least he could set the table, proverbially.
Yeah, exactly. So
you're cooking a great meal, and this guy won't even set the table.
So I spat on it, and that was the end of it.
Oh, this is a family-friendly show. Kids, lock up your parents.
Is it a family-friendly show?
It's unclear, really.
It's unclear. Okay. Well, I said I did my best at coding all of it, so you're welcome.
You did fantastic. You didn't swear once.
I'm trying really hard.
You're like ready for TV. You're ready for TV.
I mean, I don't know if you know this about TikTok and Instagram. You can't swear there.
Really?
You have to, the algorithm will punish you if you swear.
Oh, I see. But they're not going to kick you off for saying the F word.
No, but you'll be punished, and that's bad enough.
Right. Yeah. You need those 4 people to see you. If it drops to 3, you just can't have that anymore.
Okay. It's like, I think the difference is like between like thousands. So thank you.
I don't know. I got to get TikTok.
You can't say dead either.
Dead? What do you mean?
Yeah,
I've interviewed people who are on, what are they? Death Talk. It's a real thing. I've interviewed like morticians and embalmers.
But they probably say unalived now.
Do they? Wow. Well, the
algorithm changes.
They do TikTok about how they embalm and what it's like at a funeral home. It's a real thing. I've interviewed people who do this.
Yeah, they probably go, this is what you do to an unalived body.
Wow. Well, that's liberalism gone mad. You can't even say dead anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's atrocious. It's nuts. It's nuts.
You can't even just say what someone's living or dead status is. It's rude to assume, Natalie.
It's rude to assume, and it's annoying for me.
I'm angry that people have assumed that you and I are alive right now. We could have died between the time this was released.
God forbid. God forbid.
But how dare they assume we're alive? We're just undeaded or whatever you say.
Well, we're in a simulation, so. And if this is a simulation, it's going poorly.
It's going awfully poorly. All right, comedian Natalie Norman is here. We are going to talk about recording a stand-up special because you have something to say about that instead of just going on about
my biddies?
Your biddies. No, I mean, it was I brought it up. It's my fault.
It's fine.
I know, but here.
Are we
What? Are we what?
Are we taking a break?
Yeah, we're taking a break.
Okay.
Is that a problem?
No.
We are here with stand-up comedian, actress, baker, mother of 4, and former astronaut, Natalie Norman. Natalie, welcome to the show.
I hated that joke so much. I hate when people are like, she's a comedian. And then they list like a bunch of credits that are not mine or things that are irrelevant to me. And people think that's a joke, and it's a bad joke.
You know what? It is. It is not funny, okay? I tried, I failed, okay? You throw things at a wall, some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. Thank you for telling me. That's the feedback I need.
And now you know I'm a good friend.
There's lesser guests than you that will come on and I'll say ridiculous things and they laugh. And now I know they're just humoring me.
I'm not going to laugh at that. That's not funny.
Excellent. I've done that to my guest, Gary Dierenfeld. I've done it to Lee Kuhnla. I've done it to so many people on the show.
Stop doing it.
And they laugh, and then it just validates me, but they're just being nice. It's not funny, is it?
Well, even if it's genuine laughs, that's bad laughter.
They've got no taste.
No taste. No taste.
Oh, man. Well, you clearly have taste.
I would say I have some taste.
Enough taste to put out a comedy special. How long is this thing going to be? Because when I did stand up, anything more than 1 minute was just way too much time.
I'm recording an hour.
Jeez.
An hour. It is long. I'm going to try and convince them to, at least while we edit it, to do 2 half hours.
Uh-huh.
But it's a full hour on a stage. It's being filmed. We got 4 cameras. We've got a magic 4. We got one of them on a rail so you can follow me in the room.
Oh, that's good. And one facing the audience, maybe? Or?
One facing the audience.
Wow. And an hour. How much of that will you be winging it? And how much will it be just completely to script or just a bit of both every now and?
Well, the problem with me is that I do have an hour of jokes.
Are they funny?
Obviously.
You're not going to just start listing people's fake credits in the audience or something?
No, I'm not a lunatic. However, okay, so like we know that right now crowd work is really popular online.
Is it?
It's really popular. I guess you're never on Instagram. It's like a lot of comedians are making their career off crowd work.
Well,
I've been talking to the audience. I wouldn't say it's crowd work, but talking to them for years because I have severe ADHD.
something in the room distracts you, you got to address it.
Yeah. So like very little things, like someone that like goes, whoop, I like notice it. And now I feel weird because like people are like doing crowd work, but I'm just commenting on their actions. And it's really hard for me to control. And if I'm not careful, I could end up talking to one person for a full half hour.
Wow. Especially if you're getting laughs, you just get distracted by it. And that's good in the room, but it might not be good stuff for a special.
It's hard to, it's, in my opinion, it's very hard to translate online.
Yeah.
But it's not what I want my special to be.
And there's stuff that may be funny in the moment in the room to the people there, but when you actually watch it on video, it's like, it's not great comedy, you know?
Well, I mean, most of the time you can edit it now to make it good so that the crowd online understands, but that's still not what I want. I've written jokes.
Do you put in fake laugh tracks?
Absolutely not.
You should.
That's so insulting. No, by the way, no, I got to tell you this. There's a comedian. No, this is crazy. There's a comedian during the pandemic who started releasing clips, and what he was doing was recording jokes.
Like he'd set up a stage in an apartment and then put in laughs?
Yes.
Wow.
But he wouldn't tell people. He made it seem like it was real. And every comedian's like, this is fake laugh. What we know this is fake.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so many stock laugh tracks. I feel like audio nerds could, laughs that they put in shows that have studio audiences when they're not in front of the studio. There's like 50 samples that get used across the industry and they're all the same and audiophiles recognize them and it's very obvious to people.
Well, what's obvious also is like if you're watching a clip and the laughs are always perfect. And what I mean by that is like the punchline finishes, the laughs start right. Like real laughter doesn't necessarily go right with the punchline.
Yeah.
Because people are people.
Yeah. It's dynamic. The pause is really, this organic connection to what's going on in the room. And if the pause seems awkward, if the laugh booms in, not related to the pause, all those kind of little things, it's obvious to people who know what they're watching.
No, but awkward pauses, like awkward laughter coming in is actually normal to me.
I know. I'm saying
okay.
There's this energy between the comic and the room, and when you're just putting in a laugh track, it's lost. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, 100%. And that's what makes it really hard to watch some specials for me, because you can tell that they added extra laughter to make it seem better or fuller. And as a comedian or anyone in tech, like audio tech, you're watching it, you're like, why did we do this?
I agree with you completely. What possesses you to record a special? Like, is it easy to sell? Is it the money? Is it a milestone for you? Is it
none of that? Absolutely none of that. I'm recording at Comedy Bar Danforth. The owner wanted to try recording specials. I'm ready to record another album. And I said, and at this point, you have to record it visually. You have to. Now, most people cut it up into clips. We'll release it in clips, but we'll also do it as one special. A lot of comedians are releasing YouTube specials. Maybe we'll sell it before I release it. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to try it. And I'm always down to try something new.
You got an agent?
No. And if you're an agent listening, please, please sign me.
I mean, okay. All the agents who listen to the show, which would be maybe 1 in 50 episodes, my agent listens to 2 minutes.
Well, sign me.
I mean, I'll talk to him. How about that?
I love that.
I'm making billions, so he's a great... No, I shouldn't. Rob, I'm sorry.
Rob, I'm free, and I'm not going to insult you online.
And you don't wear bras.
Yes.
That came
well,
out.
I'll be wearing a bra during the special.
Okay, well, that's what people have to look forward to.
I have a nice outfit. I have my hair and makeup. My jokes aren't necessarily completely ready. It will be good.
Do you tape it in multiple sittings and then just wear the same stinky outfit that you sweat in the night before?
No, we're doing 2 tapings in one night.
I see. Okay, so 2 shows, same sort of set-ish, and then you stitch it together.
No, 100% the same set, 100% the same outfit. So that's what you usually do. You do 2 special. You record twice.
You do. I don't. I was doing 2-minute sets at open mics, and that was...
No, I meant you do as people who record these things.
I know. I just was, again, not
Yeah,
funny.
you're being a little bitch.
You can say bitch on the show.
I don't know.
You can't say hole, things like that.
Well, why did you just say it?
Because it's going to be bleeped when people listen to this.
Ugh. You
person.
should always let the guest say those things.
You're allowed to swear. I said to you before the show, you swear.
No. Once you tell me not to swear, I'm not doing it.
Specials. Is there any behind the scenes stuff that happens that people wouldn't know? For example, I shouldn't say this, but never me, because my radio show didn't have the budget when I had my old commercial radio job. But shows with bigger budgets, a lot of the time the callers are voice actors. In fact, my friend is a voice actor who works on one of the big American radio shows.
How much do you get paid for that?
He gets paid. He's like SAG ACTA or what? Like is that a thing? Like union?
Yeah.
He gets paid whatever like a regular voice actor rate. I mean, I don't think it's amazing, but it might be.
No,
30,
voice actor rates are really high.
It might be 30, 40, $50 an hour. Like it's not nothing. It's not millions, but it's good work. And so this host calls them the day before the show. There's like 15 actors. And it'll be like, oh, we're with Billy in Des Moines. And my friend has a really neutral accent. Like you could never place where he was from. He's just from anywhere town America.
Yeah.
He could be from LA. He could be from the cornfields. It's like just so neutral. And he'll tape a thing being like, oh my God, I dedicate this song to my sister Ann. And we used to listen to this in the back of our truck. And then they go to air with that before they play this. So I guess all I'm saying, which is to me, that's very fascinating. But are there any behind the scene things with specials that we need to know about, demystifying it?
I mean, I guess not really, because it's like, it's a performance, right? So like, and there's nothing behind the scenes of the performance. Maybe that like, I think that like people think it's all one cut and that it's really easy. I know for a fact that other people have done this in the middle of the special. They'll break it and be like, I don't like the way you're recording that to the crew, or like, let's change the setup. So it's not seamless necessarily. But that's like one story. I sometimes have like you have a stool on stage. Sometimes there's notes of what jokes you're going to do next.
Yeah. Or you take a little like pause, like I need a second here. And that's obviously doesn't make it into the cut.
I mean, I hope for me, because like sometimes I intentionally take pauses and then audiences will say something and be like, we believe in you. And I'll be like, I didn't ask. It's a part of my character on stage. It's like, I pause. I'm thinking like, it's dramatic. Yeah.
I saw an Amy Schumer special taping at the Fillmore in San Francisco in 2012.
Okay.
And she said before she started, this is my third taping of this special. What I'm looking for tonight is for everything to be very tight. If you try to heckle me, there will be no discussion. I will pause the taping and you're out of here. And one guy got drunk and she did exactly that. She's like, get him out of here. And she started the joke again. It was bizarre.
No. Okay. So that's another thing is like, if you make a mistake on a joke, like they'll say this before a special and like audio, video, whatever, that if like I say a joke incorrectly out of my mouth, I will pause and then start it again.
Yeah.
Because you want it to be clear, because it's still at the same time, like it's video. I think it's charming when I stutter. And I think that's more real. But like I've seen a lot of people restart a joke, and it's weird because like, the audience has heard it. How are they going to like, it's a bizarre thing, but
yeah,
you have to.
I know that for Chris Rock's last special, he did one live take, and for his walk-off joke, he's like, oh, I f***ed that up. And then he just kept going, and it's in the special. It's bizarre.
Yeah. And that's rare. I don't think like usually I like that though. I like to see that people are real. Like, cause if you go to a show, it's not going to feel pitch perfect. Like nothing ever is working, like all of it. Like the jokes work, but like there's people are real. There's people in the audience. You're a real person.
We're here with Natalie Norman, comedian and baker. Still not funny?
No.
You can find her at stalkingnatalie.com, Instagram Stalking Natalie. And when the special comes out, you're going to come here and tell us all about it.
Or if you're in Toronto, you could come watch it.
You could come watch it. When are you taping it? At the Comedy Bar Danforth in Toronto.
Yeah, on June 13th.
Wow, June 13th. That's going to be amazing. Fantastic.
Isn't that your birthday?
Nah, close enough, though, 18th.
Okay.
Natalie, thank you.
Thank you.
And foreign correspondent Tony 5 is here. He's going to play a game called How Do You Take Your Fruit and Veg? But before that, he's going to tell us about his DIY story. But it's not DIY, as in yourself. It's do it why. WHY, as in why the hell did he do what he did? Because he ruined his house. Tony 5 from England, and absolutely no more singing up next. DIY. That is do it why. Well, WHI. DI, why are you doing this? That's what we're about to cover with foreign correspondent Tony Five. You ever done something yourself and people just wonder, why the hell did you do that? For example, in my house, I have an old TV that's the size of, 10 inches, and I have it programmed to play videos on a loop like it's some sort of art installation. And whenever I show it to people, they're like, why did you spend your time programming this tiny TV? Tony, you've seen this TV.
I'll be honest with you, it's one of the best things in your flat. It's amazing. It's got a little fireplace on it.
Yeah.
And it's an old, like, retro TV. I think it's wonderful. It gives added depth and warmth to the house. And I can see why you were a virgin for so long.
And still am. Tony, what are you DIYing?
Oh, David, this is the problem, the major problem with YouTube. I see inferior people completing superior things to me, and I believe I can copy them.
You're right. I've gone on YouTube and it's like, oh, it's so easy. Build yourself your own door frame. Build a computer from scratch. Oh, you can airbrush your own photos. You can spray paint your own walls. It's like, no, I'm not. And they make it seem so easy, and it's never easy.
It's always done with a very, very soft, soothing, lift-type music in the background, just encouraging you to go out and buy every tool and every implement you can buy.
That's another thing. You got to buy all this crap, and then when you go to do it, you can't even do the thing.
And then you destroy it, which is what I did. I thought I could just route some cable. All I had to do, route some cable.
What's routing cable? I'm going to need a translation to Canadian or American English.
So, route some cable. I wanted to attach the device to the wall, and I wanted it to be a hidden route. So what I wanted to do, really simply, is basically just drop a nice little a channel, basically, and then have the plug socket down the bottom.
So you want it to sort of run cabling behind the drywall.
Correct.
Okay.
Really easy. It's called routing cable.
I
really
don't think that sounds easy. I would never attempt that.
Right, so I didn't listen to you at the beginning, and I thought, well, I could do this. How difficult could it be, David? Fucking difficult is the question. So basically, what I did is I went on Amazon and I bought a cable routing snake, what they call it, which is a rigid wire.
How much was this?
Really
how much
wire.
invested are you at this point?
At this point, I'm sort of $20 deep.
Okay.
Right, and this is just to run some cable so that I can power a Google Home, like a smart home device, on the wall and plug it in down the bottom. Really simple, right? I thought to myself, this is easy. I can do this. I'm not going to mess about. Fine. Put the cable in. 2.5 hours later, I still haven't got the cable down. At hour maybe 3, I've damaged so much things behind my wall where there is existing cable that I now don't have an upstairs landing light.
Oh, you're shorting wires left, right, and center? Did you at least go to your circuit breaker box and turn everything off beforehand?
David, this is what a sensible person does. I then go on Amazon. Rather than call a professional, I buy an endoscope.
What is an endoscope?
An endoscope is what people use to either go up their anus or down their throat with a little camera on it connected to your smartphone so that you can see behind the wall.
Got it.
Currently very popular for these videos where people are putting them in their ears.
How much are we out at this point?
We're out another $60.
Okay, $80. Okay, keep going.
$80. Considering
uncalculated damage to an existing light fixture and the drywall. So
no. We can calculate it, David. So bearing in mind, a call-out electrician is probably only about $45 to $50 during the day.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, it's not expensive here.
Oh, wow.
There's so many of them.
Way more in New York. Okay, so we're out $80. We'll get to how much it costs to repair later, but you've now got a hole in your wall, a light that's not working, and an anus telescope.
Correct. So I thought I'll add some weight to this device, to pull it down. I'll use gravity, right?
Sure.
So I'm going now from the top hole, going down to now it's only, let's say, if 180 degrees is straight down, it's probably off kilter by maybe 20 degrees where the hole is. So I'm thinking, well, I can move it around until I find it, right? Not difficult.
It sounds difficult to me, but keep going.
Well, not to me, David. You know, I got a Groupon in electricians a couple of years ago, and it's still valid now. These Groupons are great. They're valid for many, many decades. So shoved it down, managed to pull out the wire or loop the device, somehow looped it behind the wall. The only reason I know it was looped is because my endoscope spotted it.
How did you loop it?
No idea. It must have pushed itself against the wall and gone in itself
Okay,
to
so you've
loop
got
it up.
it's a rat's nest of cables behind the drywall at this point.
There's probably a rat there as well, in all fairness.
Dead rat and a rat's nest.
Correct. I've now got a endoscope that I can't pull out because it's within that loop.
Great.
I've got a cable pull that's gone down there that I can't pull out. I've obviously damaged some sort of wiring because my upstairs landing light doesn't work.
It's 230 or 240 volts there. If you get shocked by doing this yourself, you're going to die.
Yes. And no life insurance.
Well,
because that would be silly to
I've
buy,
got
wouldn't it?
I've got a policy out on you, so we're fine.
All right. So I've then got so angry that I've kept pulling and pulling and it's not coming out. So in my anger, I've now cut the snake, which is the green wire that's gone down to pull it. Now that's caught up behind my wall and I can't get it out anymore.
What are you going to do? You're going to need to open up the drywall big time to fix all this.
Oh no, I'm just going to leave it there forever and just use a torch upstairs.
So you're going to cover it with a painting or something? Or are you just going to leave the hole wide open?
Yeah, so actually what I did was left the hole and I put one of those feng shui mirrors that fits in the Google circle thing and I've left it there. So now it looks like I'm very spiritual. Got
it. So you got a feng shui mirror, you got a massive hole in the drywall. Why don't you call an electrician to get out of your $80 mess?
Who calls electricians, David?
I mean, people with electrical problems, which it sounds not only do you have one, but at this point you sound like one.
Yes. So now I have no lighting upstairs in my hallway.
Great.
I have an endoscope plus a bit of snake wire behind the wall.
It'll be a gift for the future homeowner when they go to gut reno.
So I lost the endoscope. I don't know whether you got that. The endoscope is in the wall. So I had to cut that from the phone as well. So there's a USB endoscope in the wall.
Great.
There's a snake in the wall.
Great.
The cable is not there. And I had to buy a new Google, what do they call them? Home. Because I broke the cable in there as well. Because obviously the cable was on the edge.
Oh, well, how much is the Google Home?
Well, I had to buy a whole new Google Chromecast, what do you call it? Google Home device. That was another $60.
All right. So we're at $140 and you're no closer to what you wanted to achieve, just a hole in the wall and a broken light.
Permanent damage, David.
Great. That should be the name of this show, Permanent Damage.
Yeah.
Permanent Damage with Tony 5.
If anybody does require my DIY skills, please give me a call. David's got the email address. You've got all the numbers and the Twitters and the Instas. Yeah, happy to help remotely as well.
I put so many holes in the drywall, trying to put proper drywall plugs to put up a shelving unit in my last apartment.
Oh, yes.
And then it was so bad that it was in the kitchen. I just moved the fridge to cover the wall and put the shelving up somewhere else. And when my landlord moved, he's like, why'd you move the fridge there? I'm like, I just think it's better there. And when I moved out, he was so mad. But he wrote me a long thing about how he was angry about it. But he didn't fine me.
Did he really? No, he found it all, yeah?
He didn't fine me. And I was willing to pay and all that. But I just, now I know to seek a professional if I want to put anything more than a nail in the wall. So I know better, Tony. I've gone through these mistakes. There's no way I would mess with electrical. Not a chance.
The sad thing is, I'm obviously slightly older than you, a couple of years, and I have electrocuted myself many times in the past.
How?
Changing light switches, installing an oven, light switch oven. There was one other thing I tried to do. Yeah, it was one of those USB plug sockets. I thought, that's good. And I shorted the majority of the house.
I think it's either more dangerous or less dangerous that you're on a double the voltage. Because someone was once telling me because it's a higher voltage, it's more likely to just shock you and push you away. Whereas the 120 volts, because it's alternating, it kind of shocks you in, shocks you out, shocks you in, shocks you out. So you stay attached to it. But 240 volts, the initial shock, even though it's alternating current, the initial shock is enough to kick you away. So it's actually safer to get. Someone was telling me this, but I don't actually know if I understood what they're saying correctly.
Did they have that group on that I got as well?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Pretty sure.
Anyone at home, you should definitely try putting a paperclip or a fork in a socket to test what I'm saying, to see if 120 volts will kill you or not. That's definitely what you should do. And by that, I mean,
if you don't, come over to the UK.
And this is for parody purposes, so please don't sue us.
Parody purposes, David.
We are here with Tony 5, the DIY, as in WHY master. We'll be back with him in a moment. We are back with our foreign correspondent out of London, England, Tony 5, and we are going to play a game that Tony has no idea about. Tony, welcome.
Welcome to me, David. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to life. Welcome to love. Welcome to happiness.
Welcome to you. The game is simple. It's called How Do You Like Your Fruits and Veg? And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to name
Fertilized in the morning. I like mine with a kiss.
I don't
Is
know.
it that one?
No, but I don't know that song, but if anyone does, they're gonna smile.
Yeah, good.
The game
Carry
is
on.
simple. I'm gonna name a fruit or vegetable, and then you and me are gonna discuss how we like them best, and that's the game. There's no points. That's just
I like it.
Yeah.
What you mean there's no point?
Yeah, well, yeah, there is a point. No, there's no point, and there is points. After each round, we both get 1 point.
Right.
And then at the end, we'll see who wins.
Obviously me. Carry on.
Okay. Well, I just had a banana at the break. So how do you like your bananas, Tony? Green, yellow, a little bit brown, really brown. How do you like? Because they change so much throughout the course of their ripening.
Unbelievably racist first question, but I do like it yellow.
Yeah, I like it yellow too. I like it just after it was green. Like maybe a hint of green, barely any, but I prefer it leaning towards green than leaning towards brown. Would you agree or disagree?
What you'll find is most fruit I like are based on the cartoon appearance of them. So I need mine with a curvature of a cartoon banana, the colour of a cartoon banana, and the forward thinking that if I was to eat the banana, throw it away, someone would fall over it like in Mario Brothers.
Got it. All right, 1 point for you, 1 point for me. That totals 1 point each. How do you like your fruits and veg? Potatoes, or as you say, potatoes. How do you like them? Do you like them raw? Would you like to take a bite out of a raw
Fried.
potato?
Fries.
French fries. Frites.
Frites, very thin. I like thin cut fries.
Wait.
opposed
You
to
just translated it for me. It's chips, isn't it? Don't you call that chips?
chips, yeah. But you call them, your potato chips are like Pringles, right?
Yeah. Crisps.
I was speaking to the audience there.
Got it. The audience of one who we know somewhere in North America.
Who likes chips anyway?
So you like chips, thin French fries, extra crispy?
It doesn't have to be extra crispy, but they have to be thin.
I think I like home fries the best. That's like
Oh, the big
sliced
thick
potatoes
ones.
fried once and then griddled to make them extra crispy.
Is that what home fries are?
Yeah. They're common in like the American diner breakfast, you know, like the stereotypical diner kind of like Denny's. Not that the home fries at Denny's are any good, but that style of breakfast, you can't really get that in the UK, can you? That American like
No.
eggs, bacon, home fries, and that's it. You do it with baked beans and no
Yes.
potatoes, I think.
Yes, that's like a full English breakfast, they call it. Baked beans, mushrooms, tomatoes, fried bread, black pudding, white pudding.
Do you like black pudding?
No.
Racist.
Yep,
I like black pudding. I just don't love it. It's okay, I guess. I don't know.
that's right. There's an expression for that when you like black pudding and don't like white pudding.
All right, Tony likes thin fries, very crispy. I like home fries, 1 point each. That's a total of 2 points in how do you like your fruits and veg. This is a close game, Tony.
Very close. We're neck and neck.
You at home, it's anyone's game. We both get 1 point.
Anyone's got this
We both get 1 point each round. So no,
each time because there is no wrong answer because of the way we like it. I'm glad it was so well thought out. I did think that after the first point, but I do like it. How can any of us criticize how the other one likes their vegetable? Brilliant.
but
carry on,
it is a
David.
close game. I still think you might win. There's a chance.
Yeah.
All right. Celery. How do you like your celery?
Oh, now, this is a good one. Can't have it cooked, can't have it mushy. It's got to be crisp, raw, and in some form of dip, preferably Thousand Island.
Thousand Island. I like a blue cheese or a ranch or a kind of a garlicky, yogurty, like what's that Greek? Baba ganoush, is that a thing? Or no, that's something else.
Tzatziki. Baba ganoush is something else.
Tzatziki, that's the one.
Yeah, Baba ganoush is like a Russian grandmother, isn't it?
It is. No, it's like a eggplant mush dip. It's delicious with tomato or tomato. See, now I'm talking. You're talking like me. You're
Well done.
saying fries and I'm saying tomato. Wow, we're just switch roles.
Let's
think
cut the whole thing off.
let's call the whole thing off, Tony.
Okay.
Baba ganoush. No, I agree with you. Dip and crispy and fresh, But
Yes.
I would say tzatziki is probably my number one celery dip. You're going with Thousand Island?
I like Thousand Island or garlic dip.
Garlic dip.
Yeah, blue cheese sounds a bit fancy to me.
1 point each?
Yeah.
3 each. Anyone's game
Yeah.
at this point. Tied.
Yeah.
How do you like your fruits or veg? Do you want to pick a fruit or veg, or shall I pick the next one?
Orange.
Orange. I like it supremed, which is very fancy, but I was watching a YouTube chef do it to make a salad. You use a thin knife, a paring knife, to peel down the side so that it's like
Right.
cut peeled and not hand peeled, so it gets rid of a lot of the white pith or what do you call the exterior?
White people?
No, the exterior of the...
Caucasians.
It goes exterior of orange and then the white stuff, the pith or the pulp, the pith.
Yep.
And then
Pith.
the juicy, slices.
Orange.
So you basically cut off the pith and peel using a knife and then slice it like normal. And it has very little white and it's very delicious. Supremed is how I like my orange.
Wow. That is very fancy. I just like mine as juice. Cold.
How do you like your fruits and veg? Garlic, because that's a tough one, right? You can't really have it raw.
So, I'm going to tell you how I like my garlic. Chopped very finely and sautéed, David, with a meat of your choice.
Garlic meat. I like it chopped lightly and then in a white wine sauce, maybe on linguine, maybe with some clams, like a garlicky white wine Italian kind of a thing.
So a white wine sauce, does it include some sort of creamy base?
It
as my
can.
girlfriend said?
I generally use just olive oil, but if I want to get like a more kind of rich, I'll use butter. But I don't mix cream in my white wine sauce, but you can. I mean, the people do that.
So you're talking about melted butter, couple of slices of very fine garlic, and a bit of white wine, yeah?
Yep, that's it. And maybe, I don't know, and then my pasta, and then if I want to cook seafood in that, and then garnish with, I don't know, chopped or minced parsley.
Okay, that's pasta for our international listeners. But yeah, okay, cool.
No, parsley on top of the pasta.
Yeah, that's what I said. Pasta for our international listeners.
Parsley is not pasta.
Oh, isn't it?
And now I don't even know what my accent is. Do I say pasta? Do I say pasta? I grew up saying pasta because that's what you say in Canada, but I've been in the US 12 years, so it's pasta, but you're saying pasta. I don't know who I am. The fact is, you like it with meat. I like it with white wine, pasta.
So basically, you're homosexual, I'm heterosexual. Let's call the whole thing off.
There you go. You sung it properly. 5 each. How do you like your fruits and veg? Pomegranates.
Oh, individual, lined up in a row like Vietnamese soldiers.
Vietnamese? Why Vietnamese?
I don't know. I just like that nationality.
All right. He likes the Vietnamese.
Carry on.
I like them in a salad with maybe a vinaigrette, just
Oh, that's very Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Yeah.
All right.
Very
I've
Gen
lost
Z.
score, but I'm pretty sure we're tied.
Yeah.
How do you like your fruits or veg? You got a fruit or veg?
I have got a fruit or veg, David. This is the final fruit or veg. Pear, David. A pear.
Ooh. I mean, I like them sliced, but they brown very quickly. So
They
when
do,
I slice
David.
them, I add a little acid on top. Is that a dog? What's going on there?
That's a dog. It's not anybody I know.
Okay. You just have a strange dog in the house?
Yeah.
Great. You're fostering dogs right now.
I am.
What
His
kind of
name's
dog?
Muttley.
It's Muttley is its name?
Yeah.
It's a mutt? Or it'd be funny if it was a purebred and named Muttley.
No, he actually is a mutt, and his name is Muttley.
Okay, he's a mutt named Muttley. What was the vegetable? I forget.
Pears.
Pears. Oh, yeah. So I'll put a little acid on them, and it gives them a little bite, too. So I'll slice them and then squeeze lemon on them, and then you can have them out for a while, and they don't turn brown.
David, I have learned something from you today. That is fascinating. So a pear sprinkled with lemon juice keeps it fresh.
Yep. Same with apples. Same thing with apples. And with potatoes, I don't actually know if it works, but to avoid potatoes browning while you're slicing them, you just let them soak in water. Yeah.
That removes the starch. I know that.
Yeah, but it also prevents them from going brown.
That's phenomenal, David. You're not only a radio supremo, you have oranges supremoed, and you know these wonderful supreme ideas of potatoes, David. I mean, what better way to end today's segment?
There you go. I like
And
my...
because you don't like oranges in segments, David.
I don't like oranges. Oh, you're right. I like them supremed. Now, you have to tell us how you like your pears.
Soft and juicy and running down my chin.
Do you like them in a dessert, like a Bosque pear or a pear pie or something like that?
Again, pears in like pies, apart from apple, I find very difficult to handle.
Got it. All right, I think the tally is 7-7. Who'd have thunk it? Tied for How Do You Like Your Fruits and Veg? What a fantastic game, Tony. Thank you for playing it with me.
Same time next week?
Sure. How do you like your fruits and veg? A new fantastic game. Next week, I think one of us is going to win, though. We can't possibly tie 2 games in a row.
No, that would be weird.
Tony, thank you.
Always a pleasure, David.
That's the show. Thanks for listening. I'll be here tomorrow, hopefully a bit earlier. And now the moment you've been waiting for, the theme music.